So one of the things that I get asked a lot, and I think it gets looked over, is how to change your guitar strings. And believe it or not, there is not necessarily a right and a wrong way, but there's some little tricks and tips that you can use to make things go a little quicker, a little easier, be a little less stressful on the actual guitar itself. And so I'm just going to show you what I typically do. Not that it's the right way, but it's my way. And I've been doing it for a long time, and it seems to have worked for me. So anyway, you're going to need, to start out with, you're going to need a guitar, okay? So this is, we're going to be changing electric guitar strings today, and let's see if the light will cooperate. Acoustic strings are a little bit different, so if you've got an acoustic guitar, maybe I'll do a tutorial on that someday. But anyway, I just changed these strings about a week and a half ago, but they've gotten a lot of playtime already. And so this worship night that we're doing Sunday is going to be, I think, 11, 13 songs. And so I want to make sure that they sound crisp and just alive the whole time. And I want to give these strings, the reason I'm changing them the day before, is I want to give these strings time to settle in, not only so they stay in tune better and longer, but also because when you first put on a pair of strings, they're really bright, and they're a little harder to control with the tone, if that makes sense. And so I want them to deaden a little bit, just a tiny bit, just the crispness off the top, so they get in this nice sweet spot, so the sound guys are not, going crazy with the EQ trying to get my treble down, because my high end is just blasting through the speakers. So anyway, we've got our guitar, right? Okay, great. We're gonna need strings, and if you're wondering what to play, these Ernie balls, I've been playing these for a long time. I've played a lot of strings. There's a lot of great strings out there. These are really cost effective, and if you change the strings a lot, if you're performing a lot, these are great to invest in. I play the Cobalts, so the Ernie Ball Slinky Cobalts, and I typically play the 10 gauge string, so they're kind of like a medium gauge, and I really like the hybrid. So they have a hybrid series that it's lower on the bottom end, so your 6th string, or if you're tuning in standard, your E string, your A string, your D, or the 4th, 5th, and 6th string, they kind of eventually get lower and lower and lower and fatter, and so you have a stronger bottom end, if that's something that you like, anyways, and more of a slinky top end, so your G, B, and E, or your 3, 2, and 1, or 1, 2, and 3 string. But these are great. These are great strings. They get the job done. They sound really good. They're cost effective, and they're durable. So Ernie Ball is a good string. A bunch of my guitar friends, they have other strings that they play. Diodarios are pretty good. DR strings are great. I got a buddy that still plays elixirs, so there's lots of good options out there. I haven't used one of these. Actually, I should say I just started using one of these little machine winders or machine tuners here probably in the last year or two. I've been playing guitar over 20 years, and always did it by hand. Maybe I was more of a purist. I was like, I've got to tune all these things by hand the whole time, and you're changing strings, undoing it, tuning it up. By the time I was done, man, my forearms would be just on fire. So these are a great little investment. Normally, if you're at Guitar Center or any music store, they have them in a little container up near the front register. So go get you one. They're like $2, $1 maybe, and they're just a little, they sit here on the tuning machine, and you just twist them on and off. So, all right, strings, tuning utensil, tuning tool, turning tool, whatever it's called, and my guitar. So we're gonna change one string at a time, and the reason that we're gonna do this, it's gonna help us keep the tension in the neck, okay? And all the necks of guitars, unless you buy it at Walmart, there's a little truss rod, or a little metal rod that runs here. And also, this thing is a piece of wood, okay? And so you're literally playing metal strings on a piece of wood. And so you want to keep the tension of the neck as much as you can without upsetting it, because if you take them all off at the same time, like I did the last time I changed the strings, the tension of the neck wants to go boom and go backwards, okay? So think of it kind of like a bow and arrow. When you pull that bow, the wood on each end starts to go like this, right? And when you release that bow, you know, that wood comes back. I guess they have all kinds of bow and arrows now, but think of a wooden one. Think of, oh gosh, Robin Hood. Okay, think of Robin Hood's bow and arrow. It's the same as a guitar. When you get the strings on here and you start tightening them up here, it pulls this wood like this, okay? And that's where you get what's called intonation, where you have to raise and lower some of these little bridge pieces. You might have to shave the nut up here, okay? And you have to adjust things to get the intonation right, to get all the strings at the frets tuned right. So whenever you push down a fret, it could be sharp or flat depending on your intonation. So this little truss rod in here, the wood, all of it is working together to give you an in-tune instrument. So changing one string at a time really helps to just maintain that tension without shocking the neck, without shocking the whole guitar. All right, so we're gonna change one string at a time. And I'm gonna start with my highest string, because my lowest strings, obviously, they're carrying more tension. So I'm gonna start high and go low, okay? So all you do, take your little tuning utensil machine, and there is a way that I actually turn these knobs. So counterclockwise is tightening, clockwise is loosening, okay? So I know that's kind of opposite of righty tighty lefty loosey, but that's how I do it, so it just makes sense, I think. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna put that on here, and I'm gonna hold it up here so you can see if I can hold it with the white background. I mean, this is a little awkward. I'm literally just tuning it down, okay? Turning it down until you've got this little, let me see that. I don't know if you can. There you go, you can see it on my black shirt. Okay, so there's a bit of tension there, okay? So now what we can probably do, unhook it here, and then I just undo it from the top until it comes off. Okay, man, I just changed these a week and a half ago. It's got so much play time, I can feel the corrosion from the oils of my fingers. So that's what happens whenever you play guitar a lot. The oils from your fingers, they get trapped on this guitar. So if you can, get a little rag, keep it in your guitar, just a little. You can even cut the sleeve off one of your shirts, keep it in your guitar, and just every time you play, just wipe the strings down a little bit, get that oil off there. That's something that I should do a lot more. All right. So for all my students out there who are still taking lessons with me, there's 3, 4 of you. If you're interested in lessons, just shoot me a message or comment below, and we'll make something happen. I do in-person or Skype lessons. It's all good. Or Google Hang Time lessons, I guess. So I'm just wrapping the string up like this right here, so that, you know, when I toss it in a bag, you know, it doesn't go flailing around and, you know, get somebody. Okay. I guess I should have opened these up first. Isn't this fantastic? This is like brain surgery. It's like rocket science. Okay, so each of these strings have gauges, all right? And I assume you're watching this because you're just now picking up a guitar, or you just like to hear me talk about changing guitar strings, which is awesome too. Okay, so your lowest string, your strings are high to low, or, you know, the lightest string to the lowest string, the smallest string to the biggest string, okay? String 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. No matter what tuning you're in, these strings always remain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you're in E standard tuning, which is, you know, most standard tuning, it's gonna be E, B, G, D, A, E, all right? But these gauges, your string gauges, could be whatever. Typically, when I say I play 10 gauge strings, my highest string or my first string is 10 gauge. If I was gonna play 11 gauge strings, ding, 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 this would say 11 on it. 12 gauge strings, which I have on my resonator. Actually, I think I had 13 or 14 gauge jazz strings on that thing at one point, and the tension of the neck was just, I mean, it was like a bow and arrow, so I had to change them out. But I play, I think, 11s or 12s on that now, and I still use electric strings because it's an electric, it just sounds cool. It works. So take them out of here. You saw it kind of exploded out of the pack, so be careful. Just undo it. Got a little bullet at the end of that string. That's what that's called, is a little string bullet. Most of the bullets on strings are round. I've never seen any other shape. Okay, so there's little holes back here. I don't know if you can see them. There's little holes right in here. That's where we're gonna put the string, okay? All right, then it's gonna come out the top. You're gonna thread it like you're sewing something, okay? You wanna make sure that bullet hits that anchor right there. I'm gonna take the string, okay? I'm gonna thread it through here. Now I've made sure that the little eye of the tuning machine is facing me, you know, so you don't wanna have to come in all sideways and wonky. You want it just straight on, so you can put that string right in there. Whoop, I can do it here. There we go. Now, typically I'll rush through this and do this 5 or 10 minutes, okay? But we're going slow. All right, this is an important step. I've got my string right here, okay? How much tension do I need? My goal is to have about 3 loops on each tuning machine right here, okay? So the way that I get that, make sure that the bullet is sitting right there at the end of my, at the end of the hole there. And then I'll take my hand and I will put it about center of the neck, and I'll rest that string right on top of that. So the string is over my hand, and then I pull the string to make like a little clamp at the end here. All right? And so what that is gonna do is maintain this slack. And I'll go here, and you'll have this little slot on the nut here. I'll put it there, and I'll hold it with my finger right down here, okay? So I've clamped it with my left hand. I'm holding it on the slot with my right. You'll take your tuning machine and start tightening it up counterclockwise, all right? All right, and you'll have to adjust this a little bit. Sometimes you have to hold it down. This little string that's sticking out here, sometimes you have to hold it down. But if you've clamped it nice, it will stay in there and not slide out. Okay, so now I've got some tension here. It's got 1 loop, so I've got it with my fingers over here. If I could drop my guitar on the floor. I've got it with my 3 fingers right here, the string, okay? And I'm clamping it down with my index finger so that this part right here is tight, okay? So when it is going around the tuning machine, I've got tight loops. I don't have anything that's loose. That can mess with your tuning. I mean, every little step can mess with the tuning and the intonation, how well it stays in tune. Okay, so again, counterclockwise. And just keep going until the string is tight. It's rocket science, I'm telling you. I'm a rocket scientist. I'm a rockin' scientist. No, okay, sorry, dad jokes. Here we go. Okay, you'll feel the tension start. It'll lift your finger up. Now don't go too tight here, okay? Don't worry about it being in tune, because it's got to stretch out, and you don't want to stretch it, you don't want to pull it too tight, okay? About the same tension as the other strings. All right, we're gonna leave this on here for now. We're gonna mess with the next string. Okay, so again, 1 string at a time, we're helping keep the tension of the neck. And hopefully, once we get these in tune and stretch them out, it'll stay in tune quicker and better. All right, so we're gonna go to the next string, the 2nd string, or if you're in E standard tuning, the B string. All right, again, put the tuning machine on there, twist it down, grab it, get pull that slack up. Okay, so see, we've got some nice slack here. We'll take it out. There's a little string clamp here for the B and the E string, or the 1st and 2nd. We'll just take it out of there. All right, so we've got some, all right. So you will eventually snag your finger on these strings. I just got myself, so don't worry about that. Swipe it on your guitar case, keep going. It's funny when you do that, when you get your finger on the ends of the strings, it like itches. It's really weird. It itches, like you get stung by I don't know, something that stings you and it itches. A mosquito or something. Alright, make sure you have your tetanus shot and you'll be all good. Again, I've been doing this 20 years and still get myself like that. So, alright, we'll wind the string up and hopefully you'll start to see the rhythm. Got it here so it's not going to pop anybody in the face. I'll get my next string, so I just put on the 10. And what you can do, these come in order, like I was saying about the gauges earlier. So you can literally, the low string will be on the bottom. Just put them face down and you can grab from the back. And that's going to be your next string. 13 gauge. Alright. What's up, Miles? The art of changing strings is upon us. Alright, so again, we're just going to thread this through the little hole. I already showed it to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it here. Alright, we'll grab it here, thread the needle. It's like we're sewing a shirt. Okay, I'm going to take this, thread it through the eye. Again, I've got the eye facing me, so it's not all wonky. Every little bit helps keep everything in tune. Grab this, use my hand again to get the tension. We're going to do this for all 6 strings. Alright, so now I've pulled my left hand, I've made the little clamp. I'm going to take it with my index finger, clamp it down right here, get my tuning machine, and start going to town on this thing. Alright, tuning it up. You got to make sure that the back of the guitar is nice and secure because it'll want to slide around at this point because you got both your hands down here and you're messing with stuff and it shifts the back. Alright, so feel that tension. You'll feel it, it'll kind of lift your hand. Okay, awesome. Alright, we'll get this out of the way. We're going to cut these in a little bit. Let's do the next one. We're going to go to the 3rd string or the G string. Clockwise, we'll loosen it, if that's how you've strung it. Okay, get my tension. Alright, got enough slack here. Pull it out, don't stab yourself. Now sometimes at the end, I know you can't see it, but these get kind of kinked here at the bridge. And you kind of have to mess with it to get it out, okay? And if the ends are too curly, you kind of see it there on my black shirt, you know, you'll have to yank them out of the guitar or try to just straighten these out a little bit. If you got some needle nose pliers, that works really well. Just helps get it out of there a little bit easier than yanking it out. It can get stuck here and then you're pulling it and it's getting all crazy and blah blah blah. So you can avoid that by just straightening it out. Alright, our next one, G string or the 3rd string, 17 gauge. Again, it comes out kind of crazy, so be careful. Just grab all this, you know, all the loops, pull it out and keep your face away from it and you're good. If you took some time, I'm sure you could grab all of it without it popping out like that. I don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got no time for that. Alright, so I've threaded my string. Hopefully you're following along by now. What I'm doing here, I'm making sure the eye of the tuning machine is facing me, or facing down the neck, I should say. Okay, I've got my hands here. Alright, make the clamp. Now this, the G string or the 3rd string doesn't have a little string clamp at the end, so you gotta keep it tight with your hands, okay? So you see, you make adjustments as you go. Make sure that loop is tight. Give it tension as it can take it without pulling the string out of the tuning peg. And just keep going, okay? All right, if you got loose loops, push down. And another reason why I'm pushing down on here is because I want this thing to loop from the bottom so that all my loops raised to the top and the one that's coming in is on the bottom. It keeps them nice and uniformed. And I'm going for 3 loops. About, yeah. So, yeah, we've got them on all of them. So, yeah, at least a little bit on the E string. Obviously, as you get farther up here, it'll be easier to get 3 loops because there's less string to pull. All right, so I'm gonna do these last 3 strings pretty quick, so just follow along and go over the steps again, okay? I'm doing it here. Typically, once you get this down, I mean, you can do this in like 5 minutes. It doesn't take a long time. What takes a long time is actually tuning it up and stretching the strings over and over and over, okay? So my string is kind of kinked down here. So I'm gonna mess with it a little bit, try to get it out. Go. All right. So you got it's kind of stuck on my bridge. All right. Next one, 26 gauge. It's my 4th string or my D string. Okay. Keep your eyes out of the way. Thread the needle till the bullet is nice and snug up in here under the bridge, and you'll feel it. Make sure the tuning machine faces to you or down the neck, the eye of it that is. Thread it here. Make sure it's there. Get some slack. Measure your slack. Make the clamp. Now, when you can hold that. You can hold this excess string with one of the fingers while you begin to tighten, okay? All right, just keep spanning, just keep spanning. Okay, you can hear that tension. Okay, let's get this next one. Okay, we're going for the 5th string now. All right. Once you get it down, it just all makes sense. Man, I can't believe how fast these strings died. I mean, I got a lot of playtime on them this last week. When I was on the road, I used to change my strings every single show, so that would be just about every day. And keep everything nice and crazy. Because, I mean, you're rehearsing before you go on, and so you get enough playtime on it to help deaden those strings. And, I mean, whether I was playing guitar or playing bass, it didn't matter. I mean, I was changing. Well, bass, I didn't change them that much because I was playing alternative country music, and I was playing a 5-string bass. And the more the deader the strings were, the kind of cooler it sounded. Man, hello, kind of cooler it sounded. So again, counterclockwise. Keep tightening, tightening. You feel the tension going. Okay, last one. Get your machine. But guitar is a little different. You don't necessarily want dead strings on a guitar. You want to get to that sweet spot. Whether, I mean, if you're playing, you know, music that, going the other way, I went too far. If you're playing music that requires some cool sounding dead strings, that's another thing. I'm not, so I want my strings to be alive. See, it got stuck there, and these tend to get stuck a little more. They're a little thicker, so they can be a little more finicky when they're curled up at the end. All right, so I've got a nice little pile of loops here. And watch your face. Don't get yourself in the eye with this excess. I drive my friends crazy with my strings. I would just leave them there, and you can't record like that because you hear the string noise, but in a live situation it's really not too bad. Okay, and it's funny, I think I got that one day. I thought it was so cool. I was real young, and I saw Smash Mouth on MTV. They were playing like this live spring break thing or something. The guitar player, obviously, I didn't know it then, but now I know they'd been on tour forever, and he had changed his strings probably in the green room or on the bus, and didn't have any pliers or wire cutters to cut the excess strings. So he just played the show with the strings on there, and they're primarily an electric band, and he was playing acoustic for just one show, so I'm sure that things just weren't readily available. So what I'm going to do here, before I tune it up, I know it sounds so great, you know. Oh yeah. what I'm gonna do, instead of cutting them right now, I'm gonna kind of tame them, get them out of the way so that we're not like poking ourselves in the face. I'm gonna do this little loop braid thing. So I'm literally gonna do the same thing I did with these, okay, but I'm gonna do that down here. So I don't know if you can see it, but I'm taking it, I make a loop, and then I just start threading it inside of itself. I'll eventually cut these, okay? But I'm not gonna cut them now because I don't have my pliers on me, okay? So then I just have a little loop, okay, just like that, all right? And that's gonna keep them from jangling around. I'm gonna do that with the rest of them. All right, this takes just a minute. But if you're in a pinch, you don't have wire cutters, you gotta play a show, you gotta go record, you're on a deadline. It's a great little hack, I guess. I guess it's a hack. It's more of a, you know, just making it happen. There's a lot of just making it happen when you're, you know, a touring musician, just trying to make it happen. Okay? So, and I didn't get as much road time as some of my buddies out there. I had buddies that were out there for years and years and years. I mean, I've been doing this for years and years and years, but thankfully I've been fortunate to always be set up pretty good, either on the road or in the studio. Been very blessed. It's crazy flying around on a plane with your guitar when that's your carry-on. All right, so now I've got little curlies, see? And now they're not banging around, right? Making all kinds of jingle jangle noise. All right. Wow, I just realized that my tuner is on my phone, and my phone is what's recording this right now. So I'll tune it by ear, and it won't be perfect, but it'll be close. All right, so what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna stretch our strings. So one thing that I do, stretching your strings is gonna help this neck settle in faster because your strings are gonna get tuned up faster. They're gonna settle faster, I guess I should say. Once you stretch them, they'll stretch faster. So I'll start with my E string. So I get my hands like this, about this far apart, about 1.5 inches, and I just push it down right here. And I just go down the neck, and I'm stretching it out, all right? Don't be too shy, don't rip it off your guitar. You know, you don't wanna pull it off of this nut, out of the little grooves that are on the nut. But you can be pretty strong with it, it'll be okay. All right, again, this is taking, then you just move to the next string, and this is taking a lot longer than it normally does. Once you practice this and do it a few times, you get really fast at it. And you can do it pretty quick, you know. You can change your strings, tune them up, get them stretched out and ready to start playing within about 15-20 minutes. You'll keep having to keep an ear on your strings and tuning them up every once in a while because they'll slip out for a little bit. But you'll be able to play, and you'll develop an ear for it. You know, you'll develop an ear, especially if you have a guitar that's intonated well, and it usually stays in tune. Right? Okay. Stretching these strings. Okay, we'll just use that. So now that we tuned them up, we're going to stretch them again. We're going to pull them all out of tune and retune them. Okay, you go pretty quick. It doesn't matter how slow you go. Doesn't matter how many times you stretch these suckers, because they've just got to settle in on their own. You're just helping them along, right? Man, I feel like I know this thing way too much. It's like a person. It's crazy. All right. My third string didn't come out that much. Yes, it did. It's rattling because this thing is loose, this screw. So they all dropped about a half step. Yeah, about a half step. And a half step is 1 fret. Okay, whole step is 2 frets. Okay, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That just pulled out at her there. Okay, and you can play around. You can already hear it. It's my A that's pulling out. You hear how bright they are? They're just super, super bright. And so that's what I'm saying. You give them a little time, they'll deaden out and they'll actually sound natural. So that. These are pulled too tight, I think. I mean, they're pulling, they're out a little bit, but not too bad. All right, let's do it one more time. All right. And then this should, I mean, you do this 3 times. You're about right. You're about good to go, okay? Now, the process is about the same with acoustic strings. The only difference is that you're going to be working with tuning pegs down at your saddle, down at the bridge. It's actually on the bridge, and then the saddle is afterwards. So, you know, just getting those things out and how they go in is a little different, but everything else is the same. You're still working for 3 loops here at the bottom. You're still stretching the strings. You're still using the same amount of slack and string tension. The strings are all the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tuned in standard tuning, EBD, or EBG, DAE, wow, hello. And so a lot of things are very similar. You can still use one of these little tuning pegs, you know. I still play 10 gauge strings on my acoustic. Now the gauges are a little bit different. I think they go down, the low E goes to 52, I think. No, I don't. Do I play 10s? Or do I play 12? I can't remember. What do I play? Yeah, I think they're 10 gauge acoustic strings, but the low 6 string I think is 52 gauge. It doesn't matter. Next time we'll do it. We'll look at it. Okay, so let's tune this up one more time. It's already staying. Now these are they'll be flat by just a few cents. Already. All right, so there you go. Stretch it out 3 times. It's already staying in tune, decent from tuning it by ear. Right? So you can tell how bright these are. So again, we just want to deaden them out a little bit, and then that'll work really well for you. So all my guitar students out there, hopefully this was helpful to see the process. Again, work on the steps. You don't have to do this. You could just rip all the strings off at the same time, shock the neck, and put them on, and all that will happen is that it's going to take longer for your strings to stretch and settle in and be in and stay in tune. After a while, if you keep doing that, there might be some consequences later on where it just has a really hard time staying in tune. Maybe the intonation gets knocked out and stays out a little more. It's harder to keep intonated. And again, intonation is how in tune it is from fret to fret, depending on how everything is set on your strings. So if this is supposed to be a G note, I want this to be an exact G note. I don't want it to be sharp or flat by any sense. I want it to be smack on. And same up here. If this is a G note, I want it to be exactly the same as down here, okay? Just like if this is my low E, I want it to be exactly the same here, okay? So that can get out of tune, and that's called your intonation. So you want to be aware of that. So that, I think that might be a consequence of, just striking all the strings at the same time and then putting them on together instead of doing one string at a time like we just did. But anyway, hope this was helpful. If you're in the Frisco area or North Dallas area tomorrow, come to Hope Fellowship Church in Frisco. It's on Rollator Road. Just shoot me a message. I'll send you a link to it. It's going to be a really epic worship night. 11 to 13 songs. The band is killer. I'm excited. I'm playing lead guitar for it. I get to break out all my pedals and just go nuts with it and get way too emotional at these events. Worship is a passion of mine, as much as my own artistry, maybe more. I can't even tell you the feeling of being in the presence of God, and beyond a physical feeling, it gets into your soul. It edifies your spirit. If you don't know God, if you don't know Christ, come out, shoot me a message, let's talk. I'd love to answer questions that you have, and if I can't answer them, somebody can, and if they can't, God can. That's not pulling the God card, I promise. If He is who He says He is, then that's all that matters, right? And if it's not, it doesn't matter at all. But if He is who He says He is, then all of this, you and I, the Word says that He holds our breath in His hand. All man, He holds our breath in His hand. If He were to recant His breath to Himself or recall His breath to Himself, all of us would just turn back to dust. And so Christians, non-Christians alike, so He pours out His goodness on all men. So I say again, either it is or it's not, and I'd love to chat with you about it. So anyway, hope this was helpful, and you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Here I come to reach for the phone and turn it off. This is never awkward. It's not. It's not. Stop being awkward. Just a look up on your face and know that love is full.